first of all, I come from a lineage of healers. Like my grandfathers, one of my paternal grandmothers was a famous prophetess, and the brother was also a medicine man. Others before then were also healers, beekeepers. Also, to keep bees requires a lot of high spirituality. These numbers are like it's like they are speaking to me, or it's like my ancient, my forefathers are speaking to me to adopt it as a medium of healing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, dear viewers and listeners. Welcome back to yet another episode of Beauty Lies podcast with me, Wanjeri. And we are going to talk today about numerology, and the reason for why I have changed my name today is going to be discussed in this episode. I'm joined today by a numerologist at African. You know how that makes me happy. And I will allow him to introduce himself, and we are going to start on the session today. So stay tuned. Welcome.
Thank you so much
for
Angela.
Coming. It sounds so nice when you say it.
Thank you.
Tuambie jina yako and yeah, start.
Yeah, my name is Leonard Syokxx. People call me Syokxx. I'm a poet who sings, a storyteller, a griot, a jeweler, as well as a numerologist and a storyteller. Did I say storyteller?
No, a poet who sings. Storyteller umesema sahi.
Yes. So that's who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a father too.
Yes.
To a beautiful daughter and husband. I give thanks.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I'm glad you said that. I think you're the first person to actually introduce themselves like that. I love it. Father and husband. So I want to talk about the numerology thing. I love when we met and you told me that you do numerology. I was so excited because I know about numerology. I know about the power of numbers, but I only know it off the internet from websites that are not African. So before we even get into what it is, or maybe we should start with what it is, and then you'll give us also a background of how you got into it. Yes.
Yeah, so numerology, first of all, is the art of divination, is an art of divination, or a science of divination. Secondly, numerology is the science of looking into the spirituality of numbers, the spiritual significance of numbers, where now you ascend from the physicality of numbers to the spiritual meaning of numbers. Whenever they appear, numbers are always surrounding us. Numbers are the true science. To go to the moon, you have to calculate numbers. To do daily transactions, you must employ numbers. To look at the time, it's numbers. Basically, the world revolves around numbers. And so numerologists seek to reveal the meaning behind numbers whenever they appear. They might be in your home, in your name, in the machines we use. Yeah.
In your birthday.
Yes. That's the most important, if not one of the most important place for a number to appear.
So before we talk about birthdays and their effects, how did you get into this? What's your background? Did you grow up like Christian? How was it? It's always an interesting story.
Well, I've grown up in a Christian family, like a lot of us. And my mother, my beautiful mother is a devoted Christian. And my father is a Christian, though he is a person who is not a very hands-on Christian, but a very powerful guide in my life and in the lives of of my siblings and the whole family. Now, having said so, I have made different transitions in life. Passed through Krishna, passed through Rastafari, passed through Buddhism, through Syokxx, passed through Sufism, from where I pick a lot of my storytelling. Went back to the original ways of my people through research and through meeting those people who still hold our old sciences. These are the native doctors and as well as the native singers and all, and herbalists, to reach to who I am. So I've traveled that journey. Now, you asked about where I picked numerology. And I cannot pinpoint the exact date, but the exact time, only that I can trace where I started dabbling. When I started dabbling in numbers, it's about 2007 or 8, thereabout, because that's where I've found the diary, my diaries, where I've noted myself dabbling in numbers, like life paths and all. And that's quite some time, quite a while, like almost more than 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But until I professionalized it like 5 or 6 years ago. But I've been dabbling in numbers since then. So what I can say is that first of all, I come from a lineage of healers. Like my grandfathers, one of my paternal grandmothers was a famous prophetess, and the brother was also a medicine man. Others before then were also healers, beekeepers. Also, to keep bees requires a lot of high spirituality. Yeah, so having said that, is along the way in my life and passing through all that to be who I am, which means I was seeking something, or something was seeking me, and we met somewhere. I found a lot of people coming to me for help one way or another, and my help was about speaking to them. So it was kind of helping psychologically. And so when along the way I realized I'm also doing these numbers. Why can I dig deeper into these numbers? What are they about? And so I just went deeper and deeper and deeper and realized that these numbers are like, it's like they are speaking to me, or it's like my ancient, my forefathers are speaking to me to adopt it as a medium of healing or of doing the same psychological help I'm giving, and it will actually deepen the sense of what I do, and it is more relatable in a modern way. And one thing which was a catalyst to that was there was a time there's a band I play in called a Bakisimba, and it's a band composed of different musicians from different ethnic groups of Kenya, ethnic backgrounds of Kenya, and we were incorporating ancient drums from the different communities of Kenya. This is after we realized that it's the West African drum which is more in use in the Kenyan sphere. And then when it was my turn to collect, I went for a specific drum, and this drum is called Kilume Mukanda. It's a drum which was used by healers. It is still used by healers. And when I talk of healers, medicine men, herbalists, prophets. And so after many trials and tribulations towards being a custodian of such a drum, I finally realized that to be in custody of such a drum requires the prerequisite of being a custodian of such a drum is that you have to be an initiate or you have to be a healer, one and the same thing. And then is when I was also realizing that different pieces of my life were coming together to bring my realization to who I am. So, I have this drum, I am in a band. It's like also I'm healing psychologically. And finally, I just decided to be a numerologist. And it was a tough call for me because I used to do it, but not really come out as one. Used to help people with numbers, but whenever I want to call myself a numerologist, I feel like, no, even right now, not many people are still in agreement that I am a numerologist based on cultural and religious stigma, yeah. But then life happens and you have to soldier on, doing the right thing.
So when you shifted and became a numerologist, you don't know how happy I was when you introduced yourself as a numerologist, so you should keep it up. Yeah. And then this is the second time you're coming out, so it's sealed. But when you did choose now to become a healer and a proper numerologist, did the problems that were coming with the holding of that drum cease when you now took up the healing? I'm just curious.
No, I should say that the drum is, first of all, I did mention I'm a custodian. And the thing is, you cannot own that drum. You might, as through the fact that you carved it, or somebody carved it for you, but you're just a custodian, or you'll play when your time is done. It'll be played by somebody else, because the drums I got were more than 90 or so years old.
Wow.
And I'm just a custodian, waiting for my time so that they move to the next person. But the thing is, you are never. It's not even about problems or challenges, as well as the messages which come out of the sound or the frequencies of the drum. By the way, it's the lowest. It's the lowest frequency drum in Kenya. It produces the lowest frequency, which means like it has the deepest bass.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not that the problems never cease, challenges never cease. We only find ways of handling them, the challenges. But when I came out, is also when more knowledge was granted to me. I might say before then, it was, I didn't really perceive myself as so, and so much was also guarded from me. But when I accepted, and more knowledge was granted to I in different forms.
It looks like.
And even I found out, I had been collecting ancient books. In one thing I want to mention is that in our way, our design of getting knowledge as healers, or even in Africa, was tampered with through colonialism and slavery.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of how we used to transmit it orally or teach the next generation was interfered with. And that I think it's still the same with the Western. It's different with the Asians, where there are ashrams, there are gurus with lineages of thousands of years. Ours was tampered with, and so a lot of our knowledge will have to come from people and books. And that does not mean because it was tampered with, if the knowledge is to go to a certain particular person, it won't go. It will still go, though through other challenges, modern challenges. And so, as my case happened, I was meeting books in mysterious ways. And although it might sound cliche, or it might sound like just synchronicities, how synchronicities do happen. Like I can be going this way and then something tells me, no, today you have to go this way through town. No, I don't want to. Something forces me. And when I go that way, I just go and meet a book about a very deep subject, a sacred subject, just lying there, 200 shillings. Pick the book. And when I came out, nikajikubali. Fun enough, I found books I had collected 10 years ago, which never made sense, now making sense.
Nice.
And that is how I continued deepening my knowledge.
You have so much knowledge and you have such calming voice. I just want to keep listening to you. So now we'll have to come up with another session where we'll talk about drums and music.
Yeah.
Because now we look like we're going to that direction and I really love it.
That would be very beautiful. And I would also bring my my long-time friend,
companion.
Google and Brolik, DJ Brolik and others.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you there when we went to Kamulu for the full moon with Akina, Pauline, and were you the guys who were playing drums?
I was, in fact, the contact.
Yeah.
You were there.
I was, and I remember you, and I've always been thinking, I think it was you that I saw that day, because you have an aura that's just very shiny, and I sense energy, so I would know. But but I remember those drums were very powerful.
Yeah, and it was also a significant time when I don't know if I should mention. I think you know what happened overnight.
Yeah, she came and spoke about it actually.
Oh,
Yeah, she has. I haven't released it, but she has her brother Priyadasi, Pauline, who is
Yeah.
our mutual friend's dad,
Yeah.
passed.
yeah, and she was so calm about
She
it.
was.
We were also very surprised.
That night, I've never forgotten it. And there were so many things even happening. There was the violet flame in the fire.
Yeah.
There was, I don't know, Kamala spoke about her seeing like people standing. I think it was you guys who were talking. She spoke about it in the episode. The episode is out. People can watch it. But now I just feel like this is full circle.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so let's go back to numerology. So what are the different types of numerology? And let me just give a background from when I started like when I started learning about numerology, I was looking up my name because I had seen somewhere that numbers affect your name, affects your success. You'll tell us more about that. So I was looking at my name and what name I should use, what name I should add, because for the longest time I used to feel like my name, Rose, was just not nice. I just didn't like it. It has a vibration that just doesn't sit well with me, and I never knew why. So I was Googling. That's when I found there's something like numerology, and each letter has a number. So, and then I also learned that there are different calculations. So I want you to just mention a bit about everything I've said.
Well, there are many different types of forms of numerology.
Mm-hmm.
And today I'll mention 3 of them, which I use. There's the Pythagorean numerology, the Chaldean numerology, and there's the Chinese numerology. Now, the difference comes in that the Pythagorean numerology is more famous and widely used in the Western Hemisphere. When I mention the Western Hemisphere, that includes also us in Sub-Saharan, because we have a lot of influence from Europe. So a lot of the Western Hemisphere uses Pythagorean. Pythagorean is credited from the man Pythagoras, who was an ancient Greek philosopher, who also got a lot of his mathematical knowledge from ancient Egypt. And so he is said to have discovered the numbers and their vibrations. And through that, he's also credited with the musical notation used today, and as well as what else? Well, that is the numerology system we use mostly, which is known. Now, there's the Chaldean numerology, which comes from the ancient Babylonians, who were well versed in astrology and numbers, and it's also one of the oldest. There's Kabbalah, there's Hebrew, there's which one again? There's the Chinese numerology, which is more of plotting your date of birth in a square called the Loshu grid or the Bagua. It is it is said to have come from an ancient emperor who was meditating by the riverside, and he saw the numbers from the back of a tortoise. And this is now the Loshu grid, which is a mystical square where whichever way you look at it, vertically, diagonally, horizontally, it totals to 15/6. And that is where you plot your numbers and find the missing numbers as well as the other numbers. There is a Vedic numerology again, which also has the Vedic square, similar to the Loshu, but different in approach. Now, the difference between Pythagorean and Chaldean and Vedic, because Vedic and Chaldean look similar in that they place more importance on the birthday, the very date you were born, and it's also a combination of numerology and astrology, where the numbers have ruler planets. And they omit, in calculating the name, they omit number 9, because number 9 was perceived as sacred. And so they work from, in terms of name calculations, they work from number 1 to 8. And the numbers don't necessarily follow the sequence like of 1, 2, 3. The letters don't follow that sequence which is followed by the Pythagorean. So the Pythagorean is also another one which now places more importance on the life path, which is the total calculation of from your month of birth, date of birth, to the year of birth, and places more important on that total, followed by the name, followed by the vowels of your name, which the name carries your natural abilities. And your vowels carry, the total of your vowels carry your heart's desires. And the total of your consonant carry your personality. And the birthday is who you are in maturity, as well as adding more power to the life path. So in that, the importance is respective in that sequence, in respect to that sequence.
So, okay. So I've written about the date of birth. So say more about that. Is because people say that dates of birth are not an accident. Like your specific date of birth influences. Maybe just tell us what the date of birth affects and influences you a bit more.
Well,
and maybe even cases that you have seen where there've been good outcomes and some that are bad outcomes, if that's a thing.
Yeah, so today I want to talk from the Pythagorean perspective. We'll have another session where we can delve more into, or even if time allows, where we can delve into the Loshu grid and even the Chaldean one. But when it comes to numbers, we usually say numbers have the same vibration whenever they appear, only tweaking a little here and a little there, but that little is very important to the one who should see and evaluate and use that. So I'll talk about numbers in terms of sequence, from 1 to 9 and the other higher numbers. So in terms of numbers, Pythagorean, we are always seeking to have the final digit. Like if it is 23, we want to add 2 plus 3 to get that final digit, which is 5. Now, there are other numbers which are double digits which look alike. This is 11, 22, and 33. Those are called master numbers. They indicate higher vibration. They are higher frequencies of their base, of their lower. Like 11 is 2, 1 plus 1 is 2, 22 is 4, 33 is 6. So we could say that 11 is a higher octave of the 2. 22 has higher vibration of the 4. They indicate higher energies, or if found on someone, indicate higher abilities and higher abilities as well as awareness than the ordinary. So and then there's the other numbers 44 to 99. Those are power numbers. Well, we won't talk about that. We'll talk about 1 to 9 and then the 20 to 33. So now when we talk of that sequence, we will understand the numbers as odd numbers and even numbers. So odd numbers, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, and 11 too. These are numbers which speak more about the individual in relation to himself, to themselves. The even numbers speak of the individual in relation to others, to the society, to the environment. Now, when we talk of 1, we talk of, and this now I'm talking of whether this number appears as a birthday or the life path. The life path is whom you should aspire to be. Where it's like a highway, which if you travel that particular highway, it will be more beneficial for you. It will create the utmost satisfaction for you. The birthday is who already you are, the gifts already you're born into this world with, which if you use, you will navigate more easily towards the life path, your life path. Sometimes they are discordant, numbers which are not relating well with another. So that is where now you employ other numbers, the difference between them to understand the energy, which if you use, you will create a happier or easier
Harmony.
way. Harmony, yes. Sometimes they are more in harmony, so that this will help the other.
You can use examples so that it becomes more
Yeah,
relatable.
for example, if let's say you have one as a birthday, and you have say 9 as a life path. So although there's a difference between the 9 minus 1 is 8. There's a huge difference. But 9 is a higher number of compassion and humanitarian, and 1 is the number of leadership and independence. So this 1 will start, initiate, invent, and the 9 will have the ability to finish.
So a person who is that person will end up being a leader and a compassionate leader.
Is a compassionate leader who has the ability to begin ventures and finish them. Is a very powerful number.
Wow.
So when another example is when you have a 3 and a 6. So while one form of numerology will say that those are compatible numbers, another one will tell you when you look at the placements of planets in those 2 numbers, you'll find that they are enemy numbers. So 3 is a strategist, very fast, thinking, the thinker, the helper. But 6 is Venus, which and in Pythagorean is governed by love, balance, and responsibility, and as a number ruled by Venus, it is a number seeking. It's seeking harmony as well as the good things of life. And so it is not a number which usiniharakishe, usini stress, yani they just want easy.
Yeah.
And they also tend to attract good, easy luck. And so it comes out as slow in terms of the speed. So these two numbers, the aspect of one fast, the other slow, will pull the individual in different directions. And so maybe they might at the end need to have an harmonious name to create harmony between the two numbers. So having said that, let me go back to the sequence. So the 1, if you have a life path 1, or we'll also say about the 1, you must learn about independence. You must learn about being an individual, being your own person, separating yourself from conventions, and this is the way things are done. Like you must come out of that and do it your way, and then learn independence, and afterwards achieve. You must learn to begin things. You must learn to exact yourself, to assert yourself without confusing it with dominance. You must learn to become a leader. And then before even I go on, you must learn that there's a way, there's a way they are perceived as. The numbers are perceived like if you are life path 1, it was said that you have come into this world. This is your first time. Or it could be a first of the recycling. You might have not learned the lesson, and so you are coming back again as a first with other numbers showing that there's something you didn't learn, you have to learn it now. So each follows the other. Each is followed by, like now after 1 is 2. So 1 is independence, being your own person, being a leader. And then after 1, you go to 2, where now you learn that it's not all about leadership and individuality. There are other people. You are now 2. You have to relate. You have to be diplomatic. You have to create with other people. There's another person involved. So this becomes now the number of cooperation and relation, where now you create harmony with others. So it becomes a number which is held by even diplomats and people who will bring harmony in even difficult situations. Then afterwards you go to 3, whereby you are now, and remember we are following the sequence of the odd and the even, where now 3 is an odd number. So you, as a 3, and in relation to yourself, you must learn expression, how to express the inner abilities in a joyful manner. So you have to express yourself, express the creativity inside. You become a creative. You have to work with your hands to sculpt, to sing, to write a poem, right? And then afterwards you go to 4, where now you realize life is not all about singing and joyful things. So you remember 4 is the second perfect shape after the 4 represents the square, the second perfect shape after the
circle.
after the triangle.
Okay.
Now, 4 becomes the number of order. A square, if you look at it, is very orderly, very like car square. Ukiambiwa
Yes.
car square, unaambiwa car poa. So this becomes now, you must learn about systems, you must learn to be orderly, you must learn also to live with the law of limitation, not within, but learning how you can cope with a limiting environment. A lot of 4s will be born into difficult circumstances where they have to become like supporters of the family at an early age, where they must do a lot of chores than the others, where they must, and it is through that you learn about how you can create yourself out of the limiting situations and become a bigger or what's the language? You can create brighter situations out of that. And then you must learn to build systems, to create systems. 4s, you will find 4s being the backbone of organizations in creating like softwares which can creating systems in organizations where the organization can run by itself. In media, you find themselves, they can create a solid base because the square is like a foundation of a house, of something strong. Then now you go to 4 where you have broken out of
5.
that. You go to 5 where you have broken from that
Box.
Of order limit and all that. I also forget to say 4 is the number order, and this also regards police and army and such like things where order is needed. And so 5 now where you have broken, you've now we are taking the analogy of now reincarnation. You've reincarnated back as a 5, and now you've broken free from the limiting, or not the limiting is not the word, where you were this worker, visionary, solid person. Now you want to be free. 5 becomes the number of freedom, where you are seeking freedom, communication, movement. What else?
Wow.
What else could represent 5? Travel.
Yeah, I was thinking travel. Just going everywhere.
All those things. Like if you look at a tourist, at tourism, communication goes hand in hand with. Travel goes in hand with marketing and
so those people, the ones that are good at it, you'll find they are number 5s.
Yeah, now because it's freedom. Yeah, those who are well in that direction have a number 5s, or they have a strong number 5 in the core. When we talk of the core, we are talking of the 5 most important numbers. That is the birthday, the life path, the consonants, the vowels. Now, 5, you must learn about the constructive use of freedom. You have the freedom, but now you have to make good use of the freedom so that you don't find yourself in circumstances where you are old and you haven't achieved much because you've been freewheeling. And now, because of that freedom, you must learn how to enjoy things in an average manner. These are things which can bring addictions like food, sex, drugs, and alcohol. You must enjoy them as a means to an end, not as an end by themselves. not glorify them, lest they become your master. So in that, and having to wiggle wiggle yourself out of the many opportunities, because 5 can come with a lot of talents, where you have a lot of talents than others, and those talents themselves or opportunities become a challenge by themselves, where you don't know which to choose. So you must be very calculative in whatever you choose and go with it. So now comes number 6, where you seek to, which is the number of balance and responsibility and love. And now the 6 is the harmony seeker, the person who will bring harmony in the family, the person who ties the family together, the family who probably knows about. You will find a person with a 6 is probably the person who knows where the outcast aunt lives. Is probably the one who has the number of the difficult uncle, and is kind of the person who tends to tell the others, please, let's calm down, calls the others for a family gathering. And so they must learn to give love to others, and especially the close community. This is a family relative, so that they can in return get the love back. They must also watch out not to love others at the expense of
Themselves.
the close ones. Yeah. And now comes the 7, which now is as broken free from the family and all the others' freedom. So this 7 becomes the seeker. Now the 7 has to understand the spiritual world, has to understand there's more to life than the material. And so they must seek. And this seeking itself gives them analytical abilities. So it becomes the number of analysis and understanding the higher world, the spiritual world. And this will give them, that very understanding will give them technical abilities, spiritual abilities, occult abilities, where you will find them in occult, trying to understand the hidden, and you will find them having scientific knowledge, and you will rarely find birthday 7s or life path 7s, or even people with name number 7s being last in class. They will top or be above average, because they have that ability to understand, to grasp maths and art subjects. And so they must learn that their satisfaction will come from looking into the spirit more than the material. And if they find themselves as counselors, as teachers, as inventors, they will make achievements and satisfaction in the material will come by as part of their seeking journey. Now comes the 8. The 8 has to learn now to depart, not depart, because it's a mental numbers. Mental numbers now are 7, 8, 9. Has to look into the world of the material. And because it has that power to know the value of the dollar and to create and to manage, it also has to accompany that with the spirit. That's why there are 2 zeros, one above, the other below. They have to seek a balance between the spiritual and the material. And they must learn to acquire power, whether it's power over others, of power over themselves. Well, there's an ancient Sufi, Fudail bin Ayad, who said, power over others is better than 1,000 years of power. Power over oneself is better than 1,000 years of power over others. Now, this is a perfect lesson for 8. They must learn to acquire power. And after acquiring power, they must learn to use power in a just way. Failure to which they haven't learned the lesson. They must learn to acquire the material. And after acquiring the material, they must learn to enjoy the material. Otherwise, they won't learn the lesson. You'll find many acquiring and acquiring in an endless manner without letting them, the material, become a source of joy for them. And so at the end of it, the material itself becomes a source of disharmony in their lives. And then now comes the 9, which now is the last number. And the 9 now becomes the number of compassion, the humanitarian. So they have to learn to give without expectation of reward. They must learn to be of help without requiring a reward, which is a difficult lesson. They must learn to be compassionate in a global sense. Now, remember, 9 is like the opposite of 6, where 6 is now creating harmony within the family, helping the family, the relatives, the close family, and because it's the home, it represents the mother. Now the 9 represents now global consciousness. You have to learn to help strangers without any hesitation and without any expectation of reward. And you must learn to give of yourself, whether you are giving your artistic, because it comes also with artistic gifts, whether it is the artistic gifts you are giving out to others, or whether it is words of encouragement you are giving to others, whether it is money, material you are giving to others. You must learn to give and be content without reward. It's a difficult lesson, but a precious lesson. And then now we go to these other numbers, which are higher octaves of the base ones. So now 11. 11 represents illumination. So whether it appears as a life path or appears as a birthday, 11 was perceived as the gates of the temple, the pillars of the gates of the temple, where initiates had to enter and come out to receive illumination, to become enlightened. So you must be enlightened, you must seek enlightenment, you must learn, and enlightenment will come from you laboring in learning metaphysical books, which can help you look beyond, so that you can now perceive or act as a medium of knowledge or sensitivities beyond the ordinary, where now you can act as a medium or as a channel for messages beyond the ordinary world. Okay? And then now we go to and the 11 is also not an easy lesson. All the master numbers are not rosy numbers. They come with difficult lessons. And you must learn, even as an 11, to be, because 11 can make someone very fiery, very, very ferocious, and as well as a vicious person. So remember 2 is about a diplomat. So now 11 becomes not so diplomatic but so commanding. And you'll find many activists with 11. If we look around, you'll find like Sifuna, Boniface Mwangi, you'll find who else? You'll find Babu Owino, you'll find Dini Nyoro, you'll find these are people who have that sense of Eric Wainaina. They have a fearless nature within them, and this also can be a challenge to them because they might find themselves in dangerous situations. And then comes 22. Now, the 22 is a higher octave of the 4, and this is called a master builder. Now, a master builder will have a sense of the 11 because the 22 has the 2 11s. So it will have a higher awareness of the spiritual, and it is able to manifest that spiritual or that greater awareness into the physical. That's why it is called a master builder, because it is a master manifester. They are capable of manifesting from the spiritual into the physical. They can build legacies. These are people who come and change entire ways of living. You'll find them building lasting things. Like, if I'm not wrong, this guy who designed or invented Rolex was one of them. If we come back home, like President Kibaki, you can see with his presidency, and not talking of the negatives, of course everyone has them, but if you look at the positives of his presidency, he came and expanded the country in terms of highways, in terms of schools, infrastructure, school infrastructure, manufacturing, everywhere. He impacted the country in that manner, including the economy. He touched every sphere of the nation. That is because he came with this massive builder's capacity. And then comes 33, which is now the master teacher. Now, these are people who are able to elaborate complex spiritual aspects into very relatable stuff. They are helpers. They seek to help in a worldly, godly manner. They can even have spiritual gifts to help. So they come with this saintly nature, and so they must also remember themselves even as they are impacting. Now remember, it's a high octave of the 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. So they must they must remember themselves. They are helping now not on a family level. Now they are also operating on a global level and attracting others to heal. Now, the thing with all the master numbers is they have nervous tension, and nervous tension ile tunaita kama kwa Kiswahili, I think tunaweza ita pia wasiwasi, or I don't know the very word to use, and it is brought about by this extreme awareness they have, and which makes them unsettled in some ways.
Is it anxiety?
Anxiety, yeah, could bring anxiety because now this is a person who is aware more than others. Like, for example, a heightened 11 could be aware of forces inside this room. Could become, and there's so many ways in which the 11 can appear. It might not be in the core numbers. It can also be in your first name, which is a very important aspect of numerology. And when it appears, this person, the nervousness may be brought about by dreams they had last night, which are very they might dream about somebody dying and it comes true. They might see beings which the normal human eye cannot see. And if I've met cases where somebody was being taken to a psychiatrist because they are seeing, and only to investigate and see, realize that this person has an 11, as extreme 11s on his chart, and so he's extremely aware, and so that awareness makes the others, the family, think that he's a psycho or is hallucinating, but he is only unaware of the his abilities.
Yeah.
And so that is one way of where numerology helps you to know. Like in a 22, you'll find 22 children they have to be very much nurtured, either born on 22 or with life path of 22, because now if they aren't nurtured, then they become a problem to the society, because now at 22 will still retain the the manifestation, but now they will, if they are not nurtured well, they will manifest on the negative, and so you find them being crime lords, dons, and gangsters. Not only gangsters, but heads of gangster organizations, because they will not operate on submissive position. They must go to the top and build there. So they will still build massively, but now build on the other side, which now the society will suffer, or even become psychos. So it is good that they are nurtured, and if they also know that they nurture themselves with a lot of spirituality and good ways, so that they can at the end serve the society.
Positively, yeah.
Yeah. So these are just these are the 11, 22, and 33.
I have a question. Does everyone does the soul have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? So if now I'm life past 7, I'm just here thinking, oh, I have to come back to do 8, 9, 11. Do I have to, or I can? Do I have to go through? Is it a sequence? Like you have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that? God forbid. I hope you say no.
Yes, it's a sequence according to numerology. I'm not saying it's absolute truth.
Yeah.
But then again, there's somebody who said that truth as truth. I think it was the philosopher G.K. Chesterton who said, facts as facts do not reveal a spirit of reality, because reality is a spirit, or truth is a spirit. So that's what numerology has said, that you might come in that sequence. And like, for example, when you talk of karmic numbers, they talk of how you are past. They relate a problematic circumstances coming from your past. And it's not rumors, or it's not something which is just created out of the air. it's something that if we talk about, you will probably feel the difficulties before even. Whenever I meet those numbers, then I'm sure there is one or two problematic circumstances relating to that number, because they are saying that you misapplied particular energies in a previous life, and so in this lifetime you are facing some challenges in relation to that.
So those are karmic numbers. What are they? Are they specific numbers?
Yes, they are specific numbers. Pythagorean numerology mentions the 4 of them, which is 14, 15, 14, 13, 14, 16, and 19. So this is a one where now you are, for example, you are a life path one. And perhaps I should give the simplest way of coming up to these numbers.
Yeah, the karmic numbers. Yeah.
Not necessarily karmic numbers, but the good way of calculating, and especially I must be specific, because there are people calculating other ways, and I don't want to say that this is the only correct way. There's also the Chaldean way of coming up to the numbers. But one of the most beautiful reality I have come to through Pythagorean is because when you use that calculation, you have a certain exactness of the karmic numbers. Because if you use that, then you will come to a realistic karmic number or a master number. You might, if you use other ways. I use all the ways because they all point to a certain truth in a different. So I'm not saying I'm saying that even if you use other ways, you must also use the Pythagorean, because you might lose a master number which is present, or gain a false master number, which is not the reality. Like in the case of 22, you might get a 4 from 13, which is a karmic number, instead of getting the 22, which is a master number. So the other thing is that, especially these two, you might lose a master number or gain a false
karmic.
Both. You can gain a false karmic number or lose a karmic number which is present, which you have to relate to someone that there is this karmic number showing certain challenges, which you must adopt certain attitudes in order to navigate your way around that karma. So if it is, for example, 13 is 13 concerns, and this could be a birthday, could be the life path, could be the name, could be come from the vowels of your name, could also come from the consonants of your name, could also show in other things which we'll talk about later in other podcasts, if we have grace enough to. And these are numbers called pinnacles, periods, long-term cycles in everyone's life. So if they show there is also particular attitudes which you must adopt to navigate that time. Now, when 13 shows up, 13 will come as, first of all, 13 says that in a previous life, ulihepa majukumu yako. You absconded your duties, leaving them to others when it was your turn. And so in this time, you might find yourself in circumstances where you have more in your hands than others. You might find yourself, you are the only person paying school fees for that brother, paying rent for that sister, paying your mother's medical bills, carrying a lot than you would wish for. And so you must adopt an attitude of a winner, to carry it all without pain, because they are your debts. And you must not be a complainer. You must be tough, not complain, and not look for shortcuts. If you look for shortcuts, the troubles will only amplify. Now comes the 14, where in a previous life you enjoyed freedom at others' expense.
Okay.
So in this lifetime, you find yourself everywhere and nowhere. Like you are doing a lot. Remember, 14 is 5. 1 plus 4 is 5. But now, the 5 is like, now, this 5 is like, it has too much freedom. And the talents are still there, but somehow they cannot stick to one thing. Even in relationships, you can find them wanabweka haraka sana na mtu. Yeah, you might just start a relationship and before it peaks, shabweka. And maybe start farming. Before they get the lesson about farming, in our bigger character, they let it go, they begin another thing. And so at the end, it's like they've not accomplished anything. So they must learn. There's lessons to be learned. They must learn about the constructive. It's still the same lesson, but now with more intensity. And the things, the freedom about food, sex, and drugs and alcohol might come out too strong on them, like loving food more than necessary, or sex, or even drugs and alcohol. Now, 16 is a karmic debt where you were involved in illicit affairs which caused suffering to others. So in this lifetime, you find yourself unable to maintain permanent relationships. You find yourself unable unable to maintain long term. Is it the same as permanent? Yes, it's the same as permanent relationship. This might be in business or
human relationships.
Yeah, human relationship, like marriage and all that. And I'm not saying that it fits like a glove for everyone who has it. Sometimes, through compassion is one of the highest deeds or attitude you can have, or action you can have, which can eliminate most of these karmas. So sometimes you can find someone who, and life is a code. You chose different patterns and codes, which if you use, like for example, you might have a 9 somewhere, which is telling you to be compassionate. And if you use that energy, then you find yourself alleviating some of the challenges. Because sometimes I find someone who tells me, by the way, I'm not exactly relating, so I'll ask them, are you compassionate in your heart? Because some people just say, well, I'm compassionate, but they lie to themselves. People lie all the time to themselves. I give a story of this guy who faced so many challenges, and he went to his guru and said, please, Guru, what should I do? He was told to offer some prayers, and he was told after you come out of your challenges, the condition is that you have to sell your house and give all the money to the poor people. And so a time came when he had to reveal he had to redeem the promise after he was out of his challenges. So he decided, well, hey, hapana. So what he did, he sold the house. This is a Sufi story. He sold the house at $1,000, say. But accompanying the house was a cat, which he sold for $1. And he said, for you to buy the house, you have to buy the cat. And so, after selling the house, he gave the $2 to the poor and pocketed the entire amount. You see, that is lying to yourself. You do that all the time. And so in spiritual development, you must learn to come out of such lies. Yeah, well, if you are truthfully honest with yourself, you are compassionate, you will come out of this challenge and other challenges of life too. I think I've exhausted 16. Then comes 19. 19 and 19 is 1. 1 plus 9, 10. 1 plus 0, 1. So this number shows that in a previous life you were a powerful person who stepped on others on your rise to power. So in this lifetime, you might find yourself dependent on others. And so you must lose your dependence. So you become this one who, instead of independence, you become dependent, the opposite of independence. So, and you become, you might find, and especially if it comes in your name, you might find yourself blaming others for not achieving, waiting for funds from others so that you can do this and that. So you must learn to be dependent. And a thin line there to ask for help when it is really needed, not to just become independent and suffer. So you must strike a thin line between, you must strike a balance between doing it yourself and powering yourself and asking for help when it is needed. And then one beautiful thing with the karmic numbers, because it's not all dull, consider the karmic number like inaitwaje deni ya bank, like ukichukua loan ukilipa, si unaongezeangwa limit hata fuliza, tuseme ukichukua fuliza sana ama hustler fund. By the way, hustler fund huongezwa. I don't know kama they stretch the limit.
I don't know.
I don't know really.
Let's just work with the fuliza. It's safe.
Yeah, it's more safe. Anyway, ukilipa deni unaongezeangwa. This is also with the karmic debt. Ukilipa deni yako, for example, the 13, and you become a hard worker, you must become the hardest working person wherever you find yourself. May it be the office, may it be in the field, you must become the hardest working person. You must give yourself more chores than others. You must not complain. And if you pay that debt, you find yourself even in the Forbes list of billionaires. Wow. You find people with 13 as billionaires, because that hard work now becomes a source of reward. A prominent person with life path 13 is Oprah Winfrey. And you look at her life and her life story, how she went through a lot of challenges in her life, limiting challenges. Was she the one who underwent
Abuse.
abuse, or
Yes.
was it?
It's her.
It's her.
Yeah, she underwent abuse as well.
Yeah. There's this also this phenomenal black woman.
The one she really likes quoting. Yeah,
Toni-
let me put her.
Not Toni Morrison. The other one was
The poet.
The poet was Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou.
Yeah, but I have not done Maya Angelou numbers, but I know of Oprah. I know that Oprah was abused, and she experienced a lot of limiting circumstances in her life, and at the end grew out of her circumstances to become who she is today, to become a billionaire. So that's an example of if you get to pay your dues, you get your rewards.
Akia, so many. What is Ruto's number?
The president of Kenya. I think his birthday is 21st. If I'm not, is it 12th or 21st? I think it's 21st. And the life path is 1. So you can see this is a very strategic person in terms of the 3, the strategist, and 1, the independence, the leader,
leadership,
the achiever. So the combination of the 3 and 1, like for example, if even in a company, if you have you do well to have a strategist as a leader. So he's both. He's a strategist on his birthday and an achiever. That's why you see himself bulldozing himself to the presidency at the first trial, whichever means he used. He got there, right? And you can also see the birthday is 21, and birthday 21s get to be get a bit of luck in their lives. Although they might meet with some sadness along, they get not a bit. They get a lot of luck in their lives, and as well as they most of them become healers or scientists, and I think he's also done something scientific. Is it a PhD?
I mean, I guess.
Is zoology?
I was thinking of PhDs. You were saying.
Is it not zoology? What has he done?
Skomboki. But when you were speaking, I thought of the doctor, the PhD.
He's done a doctorate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something to do with.
I mean, his mind is very scientific, just
yes,
without saying, and very strategic.
Not even to mention the names. If you go to the names, you will just like.
Does he have any karmic numbers?
Not really, not that I've seen, but not prominent karmic numbers. But the thing is that if he's not careful, he will collect karmic numbers to accompany him.
So in the next lifetime, it's gonna affect him. So what I'm noticing is that everyone has a choice to make in life. So you're given what you're given, and then with what you're given, you can make decisions. So you can be given like a really good slate, clean slate. Like let's say even just our president, he has all these nice numbers, and then you can make choices. And I really don't know why we still have the conversation about reincarnation, because what do you expect? You have to pay for it one way or another, meaning that is the justification for reincarnation. You pick up what you pick up, and then you have to come pay for it or get paid for it next time. If you do good, like you're compassionate, you get good karma in the next life. That's very interesting. And then I was going to tell you, when you were listing out the number 1 to 10, the life path, I know like so many life path people in my life, and everything you described is everything they are going through. Like it's so accurate to a T. It is actually mind-blowing. Everyone in all the life path numbers are going through everything you said. So that's cool. Maybe you can say a bit more about karma. Like what's karma? Because I'm sure the people who watch this think karma, they have a misconception of karma. Then you can talk about karmic lessons, maybe. And then after that, I'll ask you about angel numbers.
If I might ask you, what is karma in?
In Hinduism, karma means action. And if you do an action, you get a consequence. And it can be both good and bad. So the misconception that I know is that
From
karma is
ka
negative.
and ma.
Yeah, it's just action. So, and because you have to pay back your debt, the consequence, that's where reincarnation now comes in, what I was just saying right now. So karma is just action, and the consequence of that action is what we live. Like after you act, you get the reaction. Action and action are equal and opposite. Yeah, that's what I know. Yeah, which makes sense from your explanation on karmic numbers.
I think, first of all, by virtue of existing in this world, everyone in this world is paying some form of karma. Unless, as the ancients used to say, you are a guru who has not reincarnated but descended to help others on their way to the higher realms. When you find yourself in this material world, physical world, and ndio maana Christ anasema beba msalaba wako fuate, because the human body ni kama cross. Umezaliwa hapa kubeba msalaba until such a time when through compassion, through good deeds, through usafishe maisha yako up until such a time when your body becomes light and ascend to the realms of light, where una realize kwa hii dunia nikitaka kumove from hapa ama kwenda to the next office, I have to walk up until you become less dense and live in the less denser world realms. But in this life, we have reincarnated, and we reincarnate to pay our karmas. We choose the parents, the time, the place of birth, and we continue choosing and choosing until such a time when we are free of those choices to descend to other higher realms. The karmic numbers, we choose them in relation to the misapplication of misapplied energies, and even the friends and even family, your wife. You could sometimes it's even hard to say, or even unkind to say so. That you face suffering because we'd rather be blind to that fact. And sometimes it is also good to be blind to those facts, because sometimes truth produces trouble. And sometimes you'd rather have a truth which comes with conciliation, rather than a truth, because I might go somewhere and say such a truth and it becomes trouble. Why are you saying that I was robbed and disabled because I was a bad person in a previous life? You have been unkind. And in truth, you might be unkind in that circumstance, in that very time. But if you crippled someone in a past life, in one of your incarnation body, you will have a crippled body, a disabled body waiting for you. So you might choose another one, but a time will come when you'll have to wear that disabled body and come with it here to experience it. If you for example, if you curse someone, for example, there are those fathers or grandfathers who issue dangerous curses to their descendants, you will still come back as your own descendant, as your own grandchild, to experience the chaos you caused. There is no way out. And compassion is the highest way we can get out of this suffering. Just being compassionate, you can get out of your karmic difficulties. We are all carrying, even to have an abusive partner. Sometimes you find yourself in a past life, the shoe was on the other leg. It was you who was the abusive partner. And now you are coming back as now being abused. So whenever we keep at this pain and suffering caused by this person did me this bad, is bad, and I cannot forgive, and then you die with that pain. The next life you come back closer. So if you were friends, you might come back as husband and wife. So you keep on getting you keep on getting close until such a time you, by forgiveness and compassion, you rise from your debts and ascend.
I like that you've confirmed that we choose our parents, because that's something that really irritates people. We choose everyone. We choose our friends, people in our circles. We choose everything before the blueprint is already set up. But is there a way, I don't know whether this is for the next session, but is there a way to circumvent, let's say if I have a 13 in my number, can I circumvent it? I don't know, like add something to, like when people talk of changing numbers. I don't know whether you want to talk about it now or we talk about it the next time.
Yeah, maybe you could, as numbers appearing in your date of birth, that's cast in stone. But as numbers appearing in your name, that's an ability. That's an opportunity you have. That's is it an opportunity? Was a correct word. That's a chance you have to create a difference, and the difference, most of the times, changing your names. Sometimes you can change your name through your own inspiration. And I know of people who changed their names and became completely new persons and gave testimonies in church and became, through your own inspiration, align. You can change for the worst because your deeds and actions were not correct for you to get a good name.
Oh my God. So you get inspired to change your name so that you get the
more
karma for the bad deeds that you committed.
That you are committing in the present
Jesus.
life. You can change, you can come in contact with a numerologist who helps you change your name because of the good deeds you have done. Wow. So I think it's more to do with just being, even when we come to when you come to discussing about the lawful grid and that square and the remedies, you'll realize that all the remedies, most of them, if not all, are just telling you to be a nice person.
Yeah, it's
be a good person.
Yeah, I guess that's the underlying truth. Last question. What are angel numbers? Like 333, 1111.
Angel numbers are these numbers which appear just like master numbers, same numbers, and they come to relay information. So there's different, there's how they are perceived by other spiritual guides. Like when they say 11 is when 11 appears, your guides are telling you it's okay, it's manifesting, be calm. But there's also another way where you can add, like there was another person who texted me kept telling me that I remember he's seen 777. He's seen a lot of sevens. And I don't remember it is 7, but the total was 7, because as a numerologist, the first thing when you tell me that, I add all the numbers to come to the single digit. There's also another one who was telling me about.
There was me who was 9. Telling you. It's me. I was telling you about 999.
Yeah, and I was asking you. I was telling you. I remember I told you to be compassionate. And you said, I am.
That's what I'm laughing.
And I asked you, are you compassionate to yourself then? Because then you had just uttered something which was not
compassionate at all
towards yourself.
Do you let me tell you the update? I swear I have been, like, your voice kept ringing in my mind about being compassionate to myself. I am to others, but to myself. So I have been practicing that since that time, and I've stopped seeing the 999s. I was seeing them daily. Today, I was actually going to tell you, like,
even
today
that time you saw like 3 triple nines on the way.
Exactly. They were everywhere in my face. I even told my friend, I'm like, every time I see 999, all the time. Since you told me and I started actually genuinely being compassionate about myself, because that's what you told me it means, I have been, and I have not seen another 999. And today, it's when I'm coming to the studio is when I always see them. And today I checked and there was none, and I'm like, okay, I must be doing good.
Beautiful. And maybe you didn't even realize that you haven't seen them. Maybe you've realized now.
No, I did. I did, because I'm very keen.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
So, just be kind to yourself. You can be kind to others and forget yourself. You have to be kind to yourself in order to gather also a lot of energy to be kind to others.
Cool. So we could talk forever, but we'll need to go deeper into this, especially the part where you said you can take a number that can take you to prison. I am very curious. Or a number that can make you a multimillionaire. So we're going to talk about that in the next episode. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned something. I learned a lot. I hope you're going to contact him to get yourself a numerology reading to help your life. This could be their good karma, no? Because for sure it's my good karma to have met you.
Something, sometimes you don't even need a numerologist when you do good things. You will just find a way out of your challenges. It would be great if you get a numerologist, if you come to me or another numerologist and they help you. But also through this, if you can pick something out of whatever we have talked about and help yourself with it, well and good. But be a nice person, and even when you come to me, you still get
assistance. I mean, I can tell them for free that you've helped me a lot. So, I think it's my good karma, because I've been being really nice. I have been. I know I have a Karmic number, and I have been really trying. And even that thing of being compassionate, I have been. So I don't think meeting you was a coincidence. It's good karma for me. And even if it's not good karma, you've still helped me so much. So
it's I think it's day now says it's a co-created incident.
Tuseme. But I swear, I don't believe in people, especially me having a guru right now. I don't believe in people who do things alone. You can do alone, but if you have an option of not doing things peke yako, get help. Anyway, kila mtu na maisha yake, but I believe we are always told, like, since we were babies, we always had someone holding our hands. So if you can have someone holding your hand, just make your life easier if you can. Cool. We'll talk about how the stigma in the next session, because I still feel like there have been so much talk about the Bible talks about don't do divination, don't consult stars, we'll talk about that next time, because I'm sure people who will watch this will have that question. Until then, we want to say goodbye, but before we leave, I want to shout out to CEP at Media and Entertainment Hub, where we are shooting this. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have us shoot here. And until next time, kwaherini.